What's going on, everybody, and welcome to a special kind of an episode today. If you are here from Minecraft, that's why the thumbnail wasn't Minecraft. This is going to be my top 10 list so far for 2016. And what it's going to be of is the games that I've been given early access to this year. I'm going to go down a list, not in any particular order or any kind like that. It's basically just going to be me talking and telling you guys about the different games that I've played as I'm going to be digging out one of these projects that I'm working on right now. Just as a little bit of background filler for you guys. So what I'm going to do in no particular order is just going to go down the list, and I'm going to tell you guys about each game that I've gotten early access for. Not all the titles, but the ones that I think are on the top 10 list. What I think is some of the greatest games based off of a few different things that I consider to be pretty high on value list. The first thing being replayability and the amount of playtime that you're actually going to get from a game. So let's just get to this, and let's cue some background music. Perfect. And let's go. Okay, so first on the list is Neon Chrome. Now, this game here, I put it right on the top of the list, not because I think it's like the best game out there, but because of the way that the game is played. That is the kind of game that you can pick up at any given time throughout any part of the day, and just be like, you know what, I feel like doing this, and I'm gonna go blow some people up. Awesome, right there. I mean, that's one of the greatest things about that game, is that it's what I would call, and it's not a shot against them by any means, it's what I would call a time waster. So you've got 20 minutes to kill before buddies come over or something like that, or before you go out to dinner or whatever it is. It's like you pick this up, you kill the 20 minutes, there you go. Whereas like a lot of the other games that are out there, it's you have to plan it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna build something in Minecraft, or I'm gonna do this part of a story in a game. You know, you always have to set aside an allotted time. There's a goal to get to. Where there is a goal to get to with this game, it is something that you can just kind of pick up and play for a while and then go, okay, I'm done, throw it down, and that's it, game over. So that's one thing I really loved about the game, and the fact that the developers are still, even though it's in release, they're still working on the game. They're doing little minor bug fixes now, mind you, but they're doing bug fixes. They're still listening to the community and the feedback that they're getting, doing little bits of tweaks here and there just for boss strength or anything like that. Very cool that even though the game is in release, they are still listening to the community and saying, hey, you know what, we still value your input. And that was a really cool thing. I've been in talks with the devs for quite some time, and they gave me a few copies of the game to be able to give away to you guys, which was even more awesome, and had no influence as to why they were on the top of this list. Again, like I said, this is not a top 10 list, this is number one best game in the entire universe. It is like what I think out of the, 35 games that I've gotten access to in 2016, these are the top 10 of those that I think are probably by far the best out of all 35, based on the facts that I told you guys about. So moving on, we have the next one, which is Judgment Apocalypse Survival Simulation. That game there, what a great concept. It has like the whole craft and build and explore kind of aspect to it, which a lot of people love. You know, I mean, it is a great genre of game. There's a lot of replayability in these types of games. They allow you to kind of tweak the way that you play the game to get a different experience, and that's the thing that I like about this particular game, is it is a true learning experience. You do have to play it through once or twice before you start to learn how you made certain mistakes, or why you made certain mistakes, and how you can rectify those mistakes. It is a game that's on my channel. It's currently being played on my channel as well, so if you do want to see episodes on that, definitely go check out the channel. And you'll see down below, actually, there'll be links to all the games, so you guys will be able to just kind of, go out and check it out on Steam or the actual website that's involved in the game. But that there was an amazing game, and again, the devs are actively looking into this, improving this game. It's not something, again, where they're just like, yeah, we released it, screw you guys, I don't really care what you think or say. They are truly interested in what you guys have to say for input, and they value it. They're actually taking these things into consideration and consistently upgrading the game, changing the way that things are working in the game and all that kind of stuff. So that was one of the reasons why it's included near the top of this list as well, because the devs really have a good grasp on what the community wants, and they listen. It's not something like, yeah, we know that this is your game, but we know what's best. They are truly listening to everybody and saying, we never thought of that, or we agree, or let's add in this, let's take this out, let's tweak that, let's make this easier, let's make that more difficult. So that was definitely a great selling point for me, and the devs are actively involved in the whole process. So they are listening to people, and they are talking to the community to see what they have to say. So definitely there, and the replayability on this, I'm still having a ton of fun, and I found and gathered a lot of the things, and there's still a lot for me to do. So I'm curious to see where the game actually takes me and what you actually get to experience, and different mobs you can encounter, all that kind of stuff. It's consistently being updated, and I like that as well, because it shows that when a dev is actively updating the game, and I mean like not monthly but weekly kind of thing, they're really interested in making this a game that they can release, and are using the money that people that are giving them via the early access to upgrade the game. And that's something that you don't always see, because there's some game manufacturers out there, or devs, that are only in it for the money. They just like, you know what, I don't really give a shit about the title, I'm just releasing it the way it is, and it's going to stay in early access forever, because I have no intentions of upgrading anything or changing anything or listening to the community. And that's not everybody, but it does happen. So I mean, when you see someone that's consistently upgrading and listening to the community and saying, yeah, we appreciate your input, we want to see more, we want to hear more from you guys, and are listening to it and not taking offense to the changes that people are offering. So definitely is worth a check. Go check it out in the description below. Moving on, and one of the bigger devs that I actually got early access from one of the games was 505 Games, and a lot of you guys would know who that is. And the game I'm talking about is Portal Knights. So that game there came out on early access, and they too are doing the development of the game as well. So they are currently still updating the game. I'm looking at roughly about 1 or 2 a month right now, which is great. Again, it's not something where the big company just put it out on early access just for a money grab kind of thing. They are currently and actively updating and upgrading the entire game, which is something that's really good to see. So it's not something that's just being abused by one of the bigger companies. They are looking to reinvest that money in the game itself and make it something that's better. And it is, again, that RPG style of craft and build kind of thing. So definitely, I think it's a little bit more geared towards kids, but there's a lot of fun in there for adults as well. They've got a lot of different things that you guys can actually get into, different mobs to fight, different events that you can participate in. They have local multiplayer, so that could potentially change as well, where they might start doing full online multiplayer, more like the Minecraft style of thing, where you can create a server and have people come on and play, that kind of stuff. So I think that'll be pretty cool. Definitely is a great game, worth to check out. I'm really enjoying it, still having fun playing it, and looking to do a little bit more of the collab side of things and bringing people onto my own local server just to kind of see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into. Moving on, this is a game that's a little bit different than the previous 3 that are on the list. This game was absolutely amazing. This one here is called The Town of Light. The reason why I put this one on here is because just the way that the story was for this game was something that got me hooked immediately. they did a wonderful job on the story. And even though when you have a story type of game, the replayability is pretty much zero, because once you know what the outcome of the story is, you're not really ever going to go back and replay the game. Although this particular game, that might be an option that I would possibly try. And the reason why I say that is because the gameplay itself was amazing. It is, I believe, completed now. They might just be doing the updates to add in different languages and stuff like that. But the Town of Light was one of the ones, the first early access games that I actually got in 2016, and it was one of the first ones that I was truly excited for, because these guys, again, did a great job with the way that the whole thing went through, and listened to people in the early stages of game development. And it really makes for a wonderful journey when you actually get early access to something and they are actively seeking input from you, and they go, well, we want to know what you think, tell us what you thought of that, and give us your feedback. That was something that I never really experienced before, and it was just awesome to be a part of. So that's why I put that on the list there. And also, like I said, the story on it was absolutely amazing, so definitely worth the check out on that. The next one is Stories, The Path of Destinies. Now, that one there, I threw that on there because, again, even though replayability is a little bit less than the other ones like the Neon Chromes and Judgment Apocalypse, that kind of stuff, this one here has 21 or 22 different endings to the game. So that there in itself, like, you have a goal that you can get to, that if you want to, you can go back and try to find all 21 different endings to the game. One thing that really turned me off from that was in order for you to be able to get to those endings, you had to replay the beginning of the game over and over and over again. So you could play, I think it was like the first 5 chapters, and eventually it gets to a point where you're like, I really don't want to do this anymore. I don't really give a shit about the endings anymore, because I have to replay this whole part over again. And it was the same thing, and it included the tutorial, which you couldn't shut off, and to me that was just the ultimate turn-off. It was like, yeah, you know what, I can't do this. So with that being said, though, it is a great game. Combat is absolutely phenomenal. Reminded me of like Batman Arkham Knight kind of thing, with the combos that you can build up. You can upgrade your weapons, get new swords. You could always do different kinds of combinations, activate certain things. You had a hook that you could use. So they had so much involved in the game, which made that absolutely phenomenal to play. It was a ton of fun to play. It was something that when you first get it, you definitely don't want to put the remote down, and easily get your money's worth. Like, I'd say bare minimum, you're going to get about 10 hours out of it, and that's if you do like a speed run through trying to get all the endings and that kind of stuff. I'm sure you could probably do it in around 10 hours, but again, great game, great story. The whole premise behind it was awesome, that you had to kind of find your path in order to find the true path, and that was really cool, just to be able to experience that whole thing. So I really enjoyed that game. Definitely is a worthwhile choice to be on this list for sure. Next on our list, we have the game that I'm currently playing on the channel, and it's called Niffelheim. Depending on who's saying it, it could be Niffelheim or Niffelheim, whatever. And I believe the true title is Niflheim. If you actually listen to the monologue at the beginning, that's what he says is Niflheim. So I'm pretty sure that that's the way it's supposed to be said, since it's actually in the game. But that there basically is a Nordic fantasy game where you are a Viking, I guess, and your purpose is to defend the altar or your castle from being attacked by different species, we'll say, because there's I guess you could call it humanoid and non-humanoid, and then you got like skeletons, and then you have the animal or nature attacking you from I mean, bears to wolves to a whole bunch of different things. So very cool aspect. And again, it was the whole RPG style of thing where you can upgrade your player, different stats like cooking and forging and what else was there, crafting and that kind of stuff. So definitely has a lot of capabilities. They too are currently in the stages of upgrading everything. So they are currently doing active upgrades to the game itself, listening to the community and taking the feedback that they are offering and using it to output a better game. So that is very cool, again, that you have someone that is involved in that, wanting to get you guys involved and making a best game possible by, you know, listening to what you have to say and taking it into consideration when they're actually doing their edits for the future. Definitely is worth the game. Definitely is a game worth checking out for sure, and it is a series that is currently live on my channel, so if you want to see what it's all about, definitely you can go check that out. And as a reminder again, guys, all the links will be down in the description. You can check it out on Steam or their actual game websites, so definitely make sure you head down to the description to see all those. Next on my list is an awesome little game called Rogue Harvest. That one there, it's a little further down the list than what some people may expect, and it's no disrespect meant to the guy, excuse me, to the guy that made the game. The reason why it's down that far is with me being a YouTuber, it is a little bit more of a difficult game for me to play on the channel because it is what they call permadeath. Now, what that means is basically when you are going through the game, you are gonna die, or if you are gonna die, you won't be able to come back. There's no respawn. You restart the game each time you die, so you have to redo everything right from the get-go. And how that concept is amazing. I do enjoy that kind of game. It's just for YouTube gameplay, it doesn't make for the most interesting content if you're like me and you consistently die. Now, I'm sure there are other YouTubers that are out there that are much better at the game than I, and they would have much better luck with the that style of game and would make it quite a bit further. And so definitely not knocking the game manufacturer, because it is an awesome little game and they currently are active in upgrading the system, and I believe they just added controller support, or are starting to, so it's in the early stages of being put together for a controller, and that is awesome. Again, anybody who puts a game into early access and is actually reinvesting actively into the game is something that I truly enjoy, you know, because it just shows that they really care about the project that they've got, and it's not just a money grab. It's not just like, I'm gonna throw this game out there and ask $10 for it. I hopefully sell 10,000 copies and, you know, make $100 grand. It's not what they were in it for, and it just shows that they are truly looking for a product that they could develop into something that's a lot better than what it currently is, knowing that it is in early access. So that's very cool. So I have mad respect for all of the people that are on the list, because you know, the first thing I always say is, like, could I develop a better game? No, actually I can't. So I'm not going to knock anybody and say their game sucks, because I'm not in any place to do such a thing, nor would I ever do so, because each and every person that designs a game has an idea in their head, and they have their approach to it, which may or may not be different than someone else's. You know, someone else may say, well, I would have done it this way, or I would have done it that way, but it's not your game. You know, you didn't have the idea. Maybe there's an actual outcome that people are looking for, and that's what they were trying to go for, is this is what I saw the game as versus the way that you know, I see the game or someone else sees the game. So you always have to take things into consideration when you're looking at it. Take it into someone else's consideration, take it from their perspective, and see what their ideas may have been, or what their final product would have looked like, what they were trying to achieve, that kind of thing. So definitely is worth a check out on there for Rogue Harvest. Again, it's a semi-active game on my channel. I'm currently on hiatus, just waiting for another update, and once they do another update, I will be bringing it back for another look, because like I said, it is a great game and I definitely enjoyed playing it. Next on my list is a game called Kona. This is a little bit different, kind of like the the what do you call it, the Town of Light, where it was a story-based game. And the reason why I'm putting this on there, and again, like I said, these are not in any order, because if they were, this definitely would have been higher up on the list. It is a amazing story. It has to do with a detective that's trying to figure out where missing people are for an entire town. It was a great concept, awesome graphics, great gameplay. So many good things about the whole process with it, and I love the game. The reason why it's on the list is because it's like an episodic type of thing. There is intentions for them to bring out more of the story. So what we got to see was like a taste of what's to come. So there is more expected, and that's why it's on the list, because I'm intrigued to see what the story is, or how the story turns out, because right now I kind of was at like a point where I should know more about the story, but because the game is incomplete, I don't know about the story, and that's why I'm hooked. So it's definitely worth a look. Again, it will be one of those things though, once you've actually seen the story, it kind of loses its luster, where it's like, well, yeah, I've already played it, I already know how it ends, why would I want to do it again? So certain things like that, you just kind of, story-based games, the replayability obviously goes to zero once you've completed it, because who wants to redo the same story over and over again? So that's why that's on the list. And number 9 on my list is a new game that I got on my channel called Dungeon Rushers. It's an awesome little game, and it's like your typical dungeon, maybe not typical, but it's your dungeon exploration, kind of run into a dungeon, slay some demons and dragons and skeletons and zombies and all that kind of stuff. But it has a great kind of 8-bit feel to it. Really cool look. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great little series so far, and a ton of fun to play. And that, I can see the replayability being pretty high on that, depending on how linear it is. So it may get to a point where it's kind of stuck, and you're like, I don't really want to play anymore, because it's, you go back to the beginning, it's the same thing over and over again. Or if it just continues to expand and expand and expand, who knows? The possibilities are pretty much limitless when it comes to that. So last on the list, and it's definitely, like I said, not something that's like last on the list because it sucks, because I have a list of those that I could tell you for sure, and none of these would be anywhere near there. Oh god, a couple games actually come to mind as I'm thinking about that, and they're absolutely atrocious. If you guys want to hear about my top 5 worst games that I played for 2016, you just leave a like, and I'll do that next, because holy crap, I've got a few that I could put on that list. So the very last one that I put on there is also another story-based game, and it was Firewatch. Firewatch was probably one of the most anticipated titles for 2016, and there was a huge following for it, and I ended up getting early access to it, and then got screwed from getting early access from it, because the company ended up switching things around at the very end, and that's how I ended up getting the Town of Light. Was that Firewatch ended up falling through, and I ended up picking up a copy of Firewatch myself and playing it, I think, on release day. The game itself was great. The comedy that was in the game was like phenomenal. The acting was great. The story was phenomenal as well. They had a lot of amazing things in the game that really kept you wanting to play and learn more about the story. You kind of come up with your own ideas about how things are turning out, or what the outcome would be, or who the perpetrators or whatever was, and that kind of stuff. And the way they threw you for a loop at the end kind of really makes you think about the whole thing. So it was a really cool concept, great game. I really enjoyed playing it. I had a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth because of the way things went down with the devs and my early access copy, but shit happens, and it's not always under people's control that actually deal with that kind of stuff. So unfortunately things went the way they did, but I ended up really enjoying the game. It was so much fun to play, and I enjoyed the whole story. So definitely is worth the check. But again, the whole replayability, I know what the outcome is, so I guess maybe replay value, you could play it again and choose different choices just to kind of see what the different responses would be. But it is pretty linear. You're going to get to the same endpoint regardless of the choices that you make. It's just the reactions or the people that you interact with that are going to have different responses. So other than that, there is really no other reason to go back and play the game again, just because it's like, well, I've seen it, I've done it, I'm not going to do it again. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this top 10 list for me for 2016. These are the games that I played that I was given early access to, so definitely go check out the links in the description below there. There's so many great devs out there. There's so many good people that are actually doing awesome things with these games. Check them out. Give them some love. You know, pick up the game if you think it's necessary, or if you think it's worth it, because that's what's keeping these guys going and helping them do what they want to do. You know, they love what they're doing, and that's why the ones that I've chosen are the ones that I feel are going to go somewhere. These are the ones that the devs are actively interested in what's happening in the community and who is you know, giving feedback on these projects, because it's something that they definitely want to improve and do things for people rather than just get a money grab. So definitely check these games out, and then if you want to see all these games on my channel, definitely go check those out as well, because they're all over the place. A couple of these are still active, so Neon Chrome is one that's on the go, Judgment's on the go, Portal Knights is on the go, Niffelheim's on the go, Rogue Harvest will be coming back every once in a while, and Dungeon Rushers is also on the go. So again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you hit that like button for me, and if there's any odd cuts or anything like that in this audio wise, it's just because I wanted to cut down on some of the rambling, and if I did ramble, I'm sorry for that too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.